Yo guys, Jason here, and this summer has been a pretty aesthetic one for me, and I've taken and posted a lot of dope pictures over the last couple of months. And in this video I want to show you guys how I edit them in Lightroom on my phone. Let's get it. So we're going to start out with this picture of me standing in front of a pretty sick view of the Selway River Valley, which is a really cool place by the way. I'm going to show you the before and after real quick before we jump into the edit, and as you can see we got an appreciable touch of gold along with some really nice pinks and teals in the background, which y'all know I am definitely a fan of. So I started off this edit by fixing the rotation, which I did by using the rotate tool in Lightroom's crop and rotate tab. If you don't know how to use this feature, basically just find something level in the picture and use that as a guide as you rotate the photo. I used the ground as a level in this picture and rotated until the photo was straight. So next after that, I tweaked the light tab in Lightroom a bit, and here I bumped the exposure a bit, brought up the contrast, and also dropped the exposure way down. The reason I did that is because there were a lot of darker shadowy parts of the picture, like the trees in the background, and I wanted to lighten them without blowing out the whites and highlights. So I pulled those highlights down so I could lighten the rest of the picture without those parts interfering. I actually brought the shadows down a tad, which does seem kind of contradictory, but whatever. And using the tone curve, this is a pro tip right here. I made a point on the tone curve near the bottom, and then took the bottom point and lifted that up, which lifts the shadows and gives you a really cool effect you've probably seen on a lot of other Instagram photographers' pages before. Keep in mind it does darken the image, so you may need to balance it out with the exposure, but it does give you that super cool effect that I'm definitely a fan of. Next up in the color mixer, which is definitely one of my favorite parts of Lightroom. It's what let me make the green trees in the background turquoise and the grass golden. I first tweaked the reds and oranges, which really only affected my skin, so I brought up the luminance. That's what I do a lot of time with skin tones. I bring up the luminance to give them a little bit more of a glow or a little bit more of a natural look. In the yellows, that's where I did the golden grass I just talked about. I pulled the hue all the way to the left to give us that nice golden hue and pulled up the saturation to make that new color pop. The green section surprisingly only affected the close clump of trees in like the right side of the photo, not the trees in the very background. So here I brought those greens closer to yellow to kind of balance out the super cool turquoise trees in the far background. In the blues section, which did end up affecting the trees in the far background, I brought the hue further toward teal and tweaked the saturation and luminance a bit. Also in the color tab, while not nearly as important as the color mixer, I may be a little bit biased, but I did tweak the tint and bump the saturation to bring out some more color in the picture. In the details section of Lightroom, which, side note, I normally never use because my camera usually produces pretty nice, detailed, sharp images, but this time I did add a bit of sharpening to really bring out the detail, and of course I did have to add some noise reduction to kind of balance that out. It still left some noise in the background, but actually kind of like the grain that it added in the background of the image. Last but not least, and those of you that follow me on Instagram, shameless plug by the way, go follow me on there, but anyway, those of you that know my editing style definitely know I love to add some teal and some oranges or pinks to the highlights and shadows of the picture, and this picture was no exception. In the effects tab I added some orange to the highlights and teal to the shadows, and maybe most important of all, which is surprising to me, it was here that I gave this picture its super dramatic look by pulling the clarity all the way to 85. Clarity, in my opinion, makes most pictures look super exaggerated and weird. It just doesn't look good for most applications, but in this case I think it really helped make this photo that much better. So definitely give it a try to see if it makes your photos look better, and if it doesn't, hey, no problem, just don't use it. Besides that, I hope this editing tutorial will help you out with editing your photos. Remember, the app I use to edit is called Lightroom, and the app and all the features I used in this video are completely free, so definitely give it a try. Also subscribe to this channel for more dope content like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Faced it like open door, slammed it closed like no more. What your mouth is open for, acid dripping on the floor. You can feel up all the skies, caption disapprove of you. Push the